Hello, everybody, and welcome to Planet FPL, the world where everything revolves around Fantasy Premier League. My name's Suj.
And my name is James.
And I asked at the end of the last show, James, if we could go down to the beach, and we have.
Yep, we certainly can. Stony Beach, admittedly. Let me introduce you to Sam Murray, our Brighton and Hove Albion correspondent. How are you, Sam?
I'm very good, thank you. Hello, everyone. Back for another season.
Sam always says hello to everyone. He's the sweetest. Congratulations on getting graduated, mate, in 40-degree heat last week. Well done, mate.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You live to tell the tale. We were talking offline about Seagulls, and I don't know if you saw this, Suj, but I had a seagull shit on me a couple of weeks ago when we was at theme park. Did you hear about this?
I remember I saw a tweet from you which was like, has a bird ever shitted on you or something like that? Have you ever had a bird shit on you?
Yeah.
But I assumed you'd put that tweet out because, Yeah.
So I did a tweet a few weeks back asking everyone if they'd ever been shat on by, I mean, specifically a bird, but let's be honest, in a lot of cases, seagulls, but just birds generally. 26% said they'd never been shat on by a bird. So I want you all to know that 26% of people in this world are liars. Sam, ever been shat on by a bird?
About a week ago, actually, yeah.
He lives in Brighton. He probably gets it weekly.
Yeah.
As soon as I walked out the door, I wasn't having a good morning. I thought everything's, it was just one of them days. Everything's going wrong. Just about to get in my car and straight down my arm. Yeah, not great.
Mate. We were just talking off air of what lovely animals seagulls are and how much we love them, or perhaps maybe not. But the football team, let's focus on the football team rather than the animal, because it could stir up rage. I didn't realise it was as recent as weeks ago that both of you have been shot on by birds. So let's talk about the football team. Looking forward to this season.
I think one was a pigeon, in fairness.
Oh, fair play.
Sam, I kind of hinted to it towards the end of our last podcast, which you won't have heard yet. And I did drop the no one's talking about them, but could they break the top 6? Is that an achievable target for Brighton? What's realistic and what's the hopes going into this season?
I think, well, obviously last season was the best season we've had. It was a bit inconsistent at times, like most teams, around mid-table, but 9th in the Premier League, and some of the best moments I've had, and especially the United game at the end was just one I'll never forget. I think with a bit of success now, and we are progressing. The last 2 years, we've made quite a lot of improvements. I think the expectations will rise, which is probably the only bad thing about being a good team. I'm not sure I'm expecting 9th again. If we finish, I think we need to keep targeting that 9th to 12th area. Even if we finish 12th, I think that's still a good season, and it's all part of the longer term plan to become that established Premier League top 10 team, I think. So anywhere in that area is good again. I think we could have. I mean, we were only 5 points off Europe, I think, last year, and if we didn't have that run of 6 games without a win, without a point, then we could have pushed West Ham quite close, and it's a bit frustrating. But no, I can't complain. Anything around there again this season would be good.
Biggest challenge has always been converting performances into results and results into points. So, what do you think is going to be different this year that's going to help you turn those performances into results and points? Is it just a case of got to score some
bloody
goals?
Not having the run that the consistency. We say that them and Southampton always seem to have a period in the season where they can't win for 2 months.
So
exactly.
Okay, let me ask the question differently. What's going to stop that happening? Because I don't see anything changing. What's going to cause it to stop? More experience?
Well, I guess so. I think the crazy thing is we finished 9th, and I'm still there thinking we can get much better than this. Still, we can still become a better team. There was points last season where we were mid-table, and it's great, but it's a bit frustrating. I think we can get better, and I think that what you look at straight away is the home form. That's what needs to improve. I think away from home last season, I think we were 5th, and then home we were down at the bottom until the last 2 wins against United and West Ham. We were awful at home. That's where it needs to improve, I think.
Yeah, you think even we played each other twice in quite a short period. We came to your play. I couldn't believe how easy it was. We won 2-0. That was about right on the night. Game was easy. Didn't feel like again to mention Southampton, but for very different reasons. Your two teams I don't like playing. But I know like you can come and play us and dominate the football match. And then just afterwards, you did COTC with me and with Mark Hammond, our Norwich correspondent. And you and I both, Norwich at home, predicted a draw. And it was. Yeah. It shouldn't have been, admittedly. You should have won. But then after that, you go to Arsenal and win. You go to Tottenham and win. And this is off the back of this run where you weren't doing anything. You looked terrible. You want to nosedive to the point we even said, well, keep losing. Have you got enough points, kind of? And that makes you a really difficult read in terms of just predicting from week to week and also for your fantasy options and stuff. I mean, Trossard, right?
Yeah,
is that what you're going to say?
No, yeah, I don't want to talk about that period. That's when Trossard started banging them in. I mean, he ended the season on 141 points. No joke. It's a decent return, but I think 130 of them came in that last 8-week period.
Talk to us about Leandro, Sam, because what are we looking at here? We had this period last year where he played this left wing back position, which was quite cute. When I looked into it more for talking tactics, it was basically playing left back in certain stages and wide left forward in other stages where the system moved with and without the ball. Is there a possibility though that he might start up front in the front two naturally? Is that possible at the moment?
Yeah, well, like last season, he said he played everywhere. He started behind the striker, and then we had a bit where he was the lone striker. We had a few games where he was almost like a false nine, and then it seemed to click into place when he played wing back towards the end of last season. He hit some form, and he played there for Belgium before. I'm not sure if it was just him hitting form or the positioning. I don't know, but I think with Trossard, I think we try and start him no matter what. I think he's the most nailed midfielder attacker. He's still a key player, so I think he will slot in where we need him. If we're happy to play him at wing back, then that's where he'll start. He started one of the friendly games at wing back, but then at Reading away the other day, he played more of played off of Welbeck a little bit more, and he was a lot further forward. So I think throughout the season we'll see him pop up a bit everywhere. I think to start the season, I'd expect him at wing back because it seems like that's where we ended last season, and it wasn't broken. So I think that's what we'll stick with for now. But yeah, I think we could definitely see him play a few positions like last season.
That would be really off-putting for anyone who's considering, and obviously not too many people are at the moment. Part of that might be quite a tough opening 3 fixtures as well. But what I'd say is, if he does play wing back, it's not like a normal wing back in terms of, like I said, he will move into like a front 3 during the game and stuff. So I wouldn't completely discount it. It feels like a lot for someone who might play that position. That said, that's where a lot of the returns came late in the season, rather than most of us have gone there at some stage, right? Oh, Trossard off the front and stuff. And most of us have missed it. I mean, how many of us actually had Trossard for that run at the end of the season? I blame Suj for telling you to sell him. It's his fault.
Yeah.
Sorry, hello, mate. Love you. I think he's probably an avoid, though, isn't he? In comparison to other.
The fixtures at the start.
I think
you got United and West Ham. Who's the other fixture in the first 3?
Newcastle is the first home game.
Yeah. Well,
not easy. After that, you've got a decent run.
Yeah, very much so.
And what have you? But I think for the start of the season, it's an easy avoid, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I was looking. I was a bit surprised. His ownership's quite like 2%, but then I suppose I haven't considered him for my team with players like Neto and Martinelli and stuff. So I probably wouldn't go there. But it's not like you said, it's not a standard wing back, and wing backs do really push quite forward. Quite far forward in possession, so I think he'll be up there again. He'll be one of our highest point scorers again this season, but I probably wouldn't consider him to start the season.
Yeah, you couldn't. I don't think you could pick him over Martinelli and with the saving. I don't think. And his other 6.5s, I think you'd probably rather punt to start, even like St. Maximin, Marcus Rashford, obviously, and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, you saying you wouldn't consider him, I think sums it up. So, are there any attacking players that you are considering, Sam?
Well, it's always quite difficult with attackers. I think I've seen a lot of people talking about Undav, we signed him in January and loaned him out to USG in Belgium, where the raw stats, I think he got 26 goals and loads of assists as well. So it's an exciting transfer, and there's not much of a risk because it's quite a low fee. But to start the season, I'm not too sure if he starts in game week 1. It seems like quite a similar player to Maupay, but just probably hopefully a better finisher. Decent off the ball, creativity, but so far in pre-season he's looked okay. Nothing too special, and I think Welbeck starts the season up front. So I'm not too sure.
I thought you were going to say
Undav will partner him or be there instead of him, but I think for sure it's Welbeck to start the season. He finished the season really well. He looks fitter, he looks sharper in pre-season, and he's become that central point where you can hold the ball up, but also you can still see his intelligence and his quality. And it's always, you come back to the injury record again, but if he does stay fit, he starts every week and he scores goals. So
interestingly though, is it fair to say Undav is ahead of Maupay?
Yeah, I saw an article from The Athletic not too long ago, I think it was only a week ago, and they said they expect him to be ahead of him in the pecking order. Maupay's a bit of a question mark at the minute because we've got a bid in from an Italian team. Not sure it's the right idea to sell him, but it does look like for now Undav is ahead of Maupay, which is an interesting one. I think over the course of the season, you will see Undav become a real option, and it depends how long it takes him to settle in. But we know with Potter, if he's good enough, he will start eventually. I think that's a long-term plan for him to be the starter with Welbeck getting a bit older, but it all comes down to how long it takes him to settle.
Yeah, I think that the concerning thing be, I don't think it's impossible that Undav starts the season, because I think he could partner Welbeck. If Welbeck's fit, then I really think Welbeck plays. But what do we know with Danny Welbeck? He's going to get injured. It's an inevitability. And I know people say, Antonio last year didn't, Danny Ings the year before. It's true, but I don't think Danny Welbeck has ever gone through a season of football without getting an injury. And obviously, if you sell Maupay and you're just going in with Welbeck and Undav, that's quite light. But from a fantasy perspective, it means Undav could get in and stay in quite quickly. Are you being linked with any forwards to buy at all, Sam?
I haven't seen any rumours.
So I don't think they can sell Maupay then. No. I don't think.
No, and I think that's the Maupay in our fan base. He's a bit Marmite. Some people really can't stand him, but I'm a fan of Maupay. I think he does, when he's not relied on to score goals, when he does work well and he does fit the system really well. But I do think the overall,
when he's not picking fights.
I was going to say, I'd only play him against Arsenal home and away.
Neal Maupay is the seagull. He's the seagull of human beings, isn't he?
I love him.
He's a complete arsehole, Sam. He really is. He is really an arsehole.
But when he's your arsehole, you don't mind so much.
Exactly.
No, yeah, it's true. Did you see the photo of Danny Welbeck that was going around? I know Sam has seen it.
No. Not the one with Tarek Lamptey.
It was a picture from training. I'm sure Sam knows what I'm talking about.
Which one's that?
The physique of him.
Oh, yeah, Welbeck.
Muscles, yeah. Jesus.
He's been busy over the summer.
Absolutely ripped, mate. Shredded, Suj. The sort of photo you think there's no point me even thinking about going down the gym today, mate.
Yeah. I don't like to look at photos like that. It just makes me feel inadequate. Just leave it.
Go and look for it, mate. I reckon getting images, it would be like the first one that comes up. But why do you think that's potentially happened, Sam? Is he, to reverse it, is he potentially in a condition where he may stay free of injuries? Because the only thing I would think is, I look at some of them muscles, I think you're pulling one of them quickly.
Yeah, I don't want to jinx it with Welbeck. I don't want to say you can stay fit, because we do know what he's like. But I mean, at the start of the season, there's a week between games, and he'll be well rested, and I'm hoping he can stay fit. But again, it looks like, well, we can't really rely on him, and yeah, like I said, it'd be a big risk to sell Maupay. So it looks like we're going into the season with these three forwards. So like I said, if Welbeck can stay fit, I'm a big fan of him. I think he'll do well.
Do you want Welbeck to be first choice?
Well, yeah. I'd say to begin with, I do. It's a difficult one because he plays differently, whether he's partnering someone or whether he's the main man in the middle, because he brings players into play a bit more when he's the main man. But when he's partnering, he's always seems to be, in the right place and to score the goal. So I think I'd want Welbeck to start the season. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're a better team with him in it. I think he really complements the way you play well, the way he stretches in behind and stuff. It is worth saying as well that obviously in Brighton's case, if they had no forwards, they put Gross at false nine or someone else. Trossard obviously can play that role. I mean, Alexis McAllister, we might talk about a bit, is probably going to play a deeper role more permanently by the looks of it. But I imagine he could probably play false nine as well. So there is that caveat that, okay, yeah, Brighton can change. But if it's just Welbeck and Undav, I'd be a little concerned. The thing with Undav, of course, is great. His numbers in Belgium are phenomenal, but what does that mean in our league? There's no way of knowing, is there? Yet certain people, like Benteke came from over there and he flew immediately, but most probably won't. There's a big jump in quality from that league to here. But he's definitely going to get minutes. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, he'll get his time, definitely. And I mean, he's got the confidence. He says he's going to come in and score however many goals. He seems to want to get involved and start every game. So yeah, he'll get his time, definitely. And I'm excited to see him, actually. Proper goal scorer, hopefully.
Any thoughts to start him with for FPL?
I don't think I'd start with Undav. I'm not. He probably, if you're going to play him, you can't expect him to start in the first week. I think that's the case. But no, I wouldn't. I haven't had him in any of my drafts yet.
Okay, that's fair. Such consideration, Undav or Welbeck?
Neither.
No,
neither. I'm it's Haaland and Jesus, and then cheap as cheap can be, which is 4.5, and that's it.
I think game week 4 wildcarders, when obviously Brighton come into Leeds, Fulham, Leicester, Bournemouth, Palace, looks like quite a decent stretch, although you'll never beat Palace, as you know, Sam. Sorry, mate. And I'm sure an Eagle does a bigger shit than a Seagull while we're at it as well. You don't get so many of them flying over your head. But those wildcarding 4, you'd be looking. I mean, I can imagine if Welbeck is injured at that point, Undav will go in a lot of teams. So certainly one to keep an eye on. I want to ask you, Sam, the attacking player I'm most interested in asking you about is 0.1% owned at the moment. That's Moises Caciedo. Yes. Is he a consideration at 5.0? Name you won't hear mentioned much.
Well, he looks like he's going to be a starter, and he came in last season, and even Potter said he made a mistake and he should have played him a bit sooner because he's been really, really good. I'm not really sure if it's 5 million. Do you say?
It's 5.0, yeah.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't go there just because I wouldn't be expecting any sort of returns. But I think he's nailed to play, especially with Bissouma gone now. So he did get a few. He got an assist and he got a goal against United towards the end of last season. Yeah,
2 returns in the best part of 7 games, let's say.
And the assist for Mwepu's goal at Arsenal. Sorry to bring that up again, Goodness.
But I'm not sure about Caicedo, really.
What is he positionally for people who haven't seen him?
Well, he's a bit like. Well, so it looks like to start the season we're going to have McAllister and Caicedo as the two centre midfielders, and McAllister is going to be the deepest. So with Caicedo, you've kind of got the engine and the athleticism of Bissouma, but he's not really. He hasn't got the defensive side just yet. He can do a bit of both, definitely, but he's more of a box to box. Like you will see him pop up outside the area when you're attacking, but also he'll be back in front of the defence when he needs to be. So he's a classic box to box, and He's a hard worker. I think he's going to be a star, to be honest.
Okay, cool. Why you mention him? Bissouma, how big a miss?
Yeah, we will miss Bissouma.
That low at the time, didn't he?
We will to remind me of Bissouma. No, I think the flexibility and of the side and the versatility of so many players means that we don't really rely on individuals as much. And I think I said this last season when we lost Ben White, and everyone was saying, our defence is going to fall off a cliff, but we actually improved, I think. With Bissouma, it's a little bit different. I think he's quite a unique player in the system. I think he will be a bigger miss. He's one of the best players I've seen for Brighton. He's definitely Champions League quality. But we knew he was going to leave. If anything, I'm happy we got an extra year out of him because I thought he'd be off last season. So, the first thing you do is look at our record without him. And I think it was 12 games we played when he was injured or suspended or when he had that month at AFCON. And we won 1 out of the 12.
Oh, Christ.
8 draws in there, and I think from memory there was quite a few big teams.
8 draws is so typical.
8 draws.
It's a glass half full, a glass full.
That's it.
Oh, we lost 3 in 12, or we won 1 in 12. Like, where do you look at it?
Not really sure how to look. Well, 1 win in 12 isn't great, but only 3 losses, and I think that's against City. We played some bigger teams in there definitely, but it looks like we're going to be replacing him from within with McAllister.
If the Cucurella deal to City does happen, then arguably you've lost your 2 best players.
Yeah, that becomes a worry. That's the life of a team in ninth position. I think they just get picked apart. But with Cucurella, I hope we don't lose him. He's only been here for a year. I know Bloom will stand strong on 50 million there, but yeah, if we do lose him, we'll have players that can go over. Probably Solly March would go to wing back, and Webster will come in, or just a straight swap for Webster. So we do have players that can come in, but I would be a bit worried if Cucurella left as well as Bissouma, because it doesn't look like we're going to be signing anyone anytime soon.
Defence in FPL looks very light. If you assume Cucurella leaves, you've got kind of Lamptey, Dunk, Veltman, Duffy, Webster. Those are the only listed kind of defenders in FPL at the moment.
Yeah, I think
that's not as bad as it looks, though, is it, Sam? I think it's the story there.
Yeah. Well, especially when we're playing with 3 centre backs, we were a bit light, but I think we haven't got listed Van Heck and Clark, who look like they're going to be the backups. And Van Heck was player of the season at Blackburn last season. Clark player of the season at West Brom. So they're decent backups.
Neither of them are going to go if Cucurella goes.
No, I'd expect at least one of them to stay anyway. It'd be a bit of a risk to start loaning them out again. But I think we're okay. I'm watching this Cucurella thing. It's dragging on a bit, but I'm hoping he stays.
My understanding, Sam, is basically it's put up or shut up. Brighton are not a football club that's going to be bullied. And having lost Bissouma, there's certainly no requirements from a financial level. I don't think that Cucurella's kicking his toys out the pram either in terms of trying to force through the move. I think he feels quite grateful for Brighton to giving him the opportunity in the Premier League. Seems like a great bloke. He's obviously a great player. He probably would like to go to Man City, and I think that's understandable. But he's not kicking up the fuss about it, is he? He's been playing well for you in the friendlies and stuff.
No, yeah, I think Man City obviously is a bit of an upgrade, and he wouldn't look out of place there in a Pep team. He would not look out of place at all. Yep. But I think like if they pay the money, then he'll probably be happy enough to leave. But I think he's fine. He's fine at the club for now. He's only been here for a year. He's got a few years left yet on his contract, and I think he's happy here. Yeah, and we won't. Like I said, I trust Bloom completely, and we've always had it. In negotiations, we don't really negotiate. We say our price, and if you don't pay the price, you don't get the player.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth saying. So just go back to this time last year, every single one of us assuming that Harry Kane's going there, right? And pay the money.
To Brighton? I'm joking. I get it. But the thing is, City are one of the clubs that fine sod it will just pay it and take the player.
But they didn't for Harry Kane.
Yeah, that was a different deal, though. You're talking Cucurella's 23 in a position that they've just let a player go in Zinchenko. He's one for the future, whereas Harry Kane was 28, 29 at the time. I mean, you're talking 100 and something million as opposed to 50 million. There's just a difference in that structure and type of deal, in the mentality of it. If they bought Cucurella,
Brighton want 50. It's a lot. No, Brighton
it's
said
a lot,
minimum 50.
But if Cucurella didn't work out, they'd still move him on for 30 or 40. If Kane didn't, they're never getting any return on Kane back. Like, they're not going to then sell him on 2 or 3 years later and get 3/4 of their money back or what have you.
The only way City will get Cucurella for less than 50 is if it's built in with certain add-ons that take it across that line. So I'm not saying it can't be 40 million plus 10 million add-ons, for example.
But I think they'll pay it. I mean, it wouldn't.
I don't think it's a certainty.
City will pay it.
I don't think it's a certainty.
They've got the money to, especially now they're sold to Newcastle. They've got the money to. We'll see where it goes. But I don't think it's likely to go anywhere else either. So it's either City or nothing, really.
Have you had any thoughts of starting with him in FPL, Sam?
No, not Cucurella. No, I mean, if he left, I think he becomes more of an option. But if he stays at Brighton, then we've got Lewis Dunk, who's the standout, I think, at 4.5. When they were doing the price reveals, Brighton were quite early on. I think we were second or third when they had all the day of prices. And when I saw Dunk at 4.5, I thought there's no way he's not going to be in my team. He's a lock, but there's obviously quite a few options at that. There's quite a few options at that price. There's quite a few options, but he's close. He's close.
I loved it when Arsenal was first, wasn't it? Oh, Ben White's a lock. Hold on, wait till you see the shit prices at the other 19 clubs.
Yeah,
but yeah.
If we've got any new listeners that haven't kind of seen any COTCs with Sam and Seagull, you got 4 seasons in a row inside the top 30k. So if you're picking players for your team, I'm watching.
Yeah, I had a bit of a last season wasn't my best season, but I clawed it back towards
29k wasn't my best season.
Sam is one of them. He's the way he's going. He's one of them. He's going to be knocking about in a Hall of Fame one day and stuff. Me and you, Suj, Hall of Fame for clowns or something else. But I take it.
Remember that kid not we knew Sam. Back in the day, Sam?
Yeah. We'll be asking for his autograph eventually when he's running fantasy football scout and stuff. You've got that degree now, Sam. So hey, Dunk not in though. Seriously.
Well, he's very close. He is close to my team. There's a few at 4.5, and I think from that position you want consistent starts, and he'll be nailed definitely back in the centre of defence where he belongs. And this season, there'll be no Shane Duffy, so all the set pieces will be on his head. Had a bit of an injury last season where he missed, I think, 9 or 10 games. But if you look at the 2 seasons before, I think he was scoring goals, hitting 130, 140 points, I think. So I think people may be put off by looking at Man United away when they're picking their team for game week 1. But if you don't, and maybe game week 3, but if you don't want to play him, and then there's a 4.0 defender from Forest who's got decent fixtures in those weeks, so you could easily rotate him out if you want. He's right up there. I'm really considering Dunk.
I think he dipped last year. I'm a big fan of his. Like for me, he would have been the England squad for the Euros. I think he had dips last year. Is that a fair comment?
Yeah. I think after he came back from his injury, he was a bit shaky, and you know what football fans are like. A few Brighton fans are saying, "Oh, he's not good enough anymore," which is a bit ridiculous. But then he got back to where he was before, the levels he should be at, and yeah, I think he's a starter. He's hopefully he doesn't get any more injuries as he gets a bit older, because that did affect him a little bit last season. But yeah, I think hopefully he's back towards his best.
Okay. Are we regularly looking at a back 3? It's always up in the air with you, I guess. But it's beginning to look like we might get this as a settled system with variations within that. But a back 3, which I guess opening day right now would be Cucurella left, Dunk central, right. Is it Veltman? Webster?
Probably Veltman to start with, yeah. It looks like we've settled on a back 3. But I said this last season, and then on the opening day, I was at Turf Moor and we had Pascal Gross left back in a back 4. So who knows what's going to happen. But I think the back three suits us. I was saying it all through last season. The back four doesn't have the flexibility, and the fullbacks can't really do what they want to do. So I think definitely the system that got us the most points in the last two months of last season was the back three. I expect us to use it again, at least for the start of the season. It's been good in pre-season, and it's the back three, but the centre backs are quite wide, so it's almost like having centre back on his own, and the wing backs push forward in possession, and you've got McAllister, who looks like he's going to be deeper in front of the back three.
And where that worked so well was obviously the game against us that you won 1-0, and Bissouma played this outstanding screening role in front of Harry Kane, basically to stop the ball going into him and didn't move. Is McAllister capable of that sort of role, or are we looking at someone else potentially having to do that in front?
I think the most like for like replacement we have in the squad in terms of play style is probably Steven Alzate, but he's probably not got the quality just yet to be a regular. I think he came in against Chelsea at home last season. He's done a great job. We've also played Lallana and Gross deeper, but somewhere in the middle of that is McAllister. We signed to be an attacking midfielder, and I like him further forward. He's direct, but we've got a few players who can play that role now, I think, and he looks like he's going to be the one to play deeper. And he's been quite good, actually. He's got the aggression and the sharpness to win that ball back, like a bit like Bissouma done, obviously not to the same level, and he's more capable than Bissouma of picking a pass, I think. So it's a slightly different role. I think we're almost replacing Bissouma with two players. We've got McAllister who can win the ball back and play a pass, but then also the energy of Caicedo, who's got the same engine and like athleticism as Bissouma. So we're almost replacing them with two players here, and hopefully between them they can cover the loss of Bissouma.
Yeah, I think and it's worth saying Bissouma played when we played you in the FA Cup. Bissouma played like an offensive midfielder. He's capable of multiple different roles. I just don't see that kind of real solid anchor. Like I like Lallana in a deep lying role, but you wouldn't look at him as a protector, as a shield in front of Dunk like you played that day in the league game against us. So I think that's a possible concern against some of the better teams this year, where actually you've had good results against them over the last few years. I mean, you drew at Chelsea last year, you drew at Liverpool. Was it last year? And 2-0 down, you drew at Liverpool?
Yeah, 2-2,
Yeah.
Anfield.
I mean, on your day, I feel like some of them bigger games might be a little bit more of a struggle this year because of that. But it's the way you play that tells me that I know. I feel like when you go to Old Trafford opening day, you're capable of going there and winning there. And anybody who likes a flutter, by the way, I suggest you don't go and look at what Brighton's price are in game week 1, because it will make you want to have a bet on them. With us not really knowing what we're getting from Manchester United yet. I look at that fiction, I think, if United can, basically if Ronaldo doesn't play, and do press you high, if they can win the turnovers, you're immediately in trouble because of the distances between the centre-backs is bigger than what other teams are doing it. But if you can get it right and you keep the thing, you become so hard to play against. And the movement and the fluidity with players, like I said, Trossard could start wing back and you'll see him a minute later and it'd be in the 10 position. Like, what is going on? But it's structured and it's worked on and it's planned. It makes you so difficult to play against. I'd rather not bother with you, mate. Honestly, nightmare.
Yeah, I think within the first 3 or 4 games, we'll realise how much we miss or don't miss Bissouma. As much as McAllister Caicedo midfield is really exciting, I do think we need to at least try and replace what Bissouma brought to the team, because it was a unique position. The way he'd win the ball back was no one else in the team could do it. And
you've been trying to buy an Austrian player, haven't you? Who's out of contract, who can play defence or midfield. Forgive me, his name's escapes me.
Grealish
at Shaman, yeah. And I think he could possibly be the answer, maybe.
Yeah, I think the latest, I'm not sure how reliable it is, but the latest was that was off, that deal.
Okay.
So I'm not sure. I think that kind of player though, that again, he was another versatile player, but someone who can do a proper defensive midfield job. Yeah, I think that's what we need.
And what do we expect from Neal Maupay? We like him as well.
Yeah, I think I think he's the one out of the midfielders. He's the one that I'm interested in. Not to start the season. I think there's a lot of players we've got in FPL that probably haven't got enough to start in anyone's teams in game week 1. But I think one of them is going to emerge over the season as a really good option. And Wepu is one of them. I mean, he had a few injury issues, but when he did get a run in the team, he was really, really good, and he'll be the most attacking of the midfielders. I mean, he's more of an attacking midfielder than the others, and he got quite a few returns last year in not many minutes. So if he gets a run in the side, I'm expecting goals and assists, and I think eventually he could be a really good option. Actually,
that sounds like you're not expecting him to start though.
I think that position is one that I'm not sure about at the minute. It's one of the positions that are up for grabs, whether that's 2-player supporting Welbeck or more attacking midfielder, a bit more central. But you've got Mwepu, Gross as well, who's played a bit more in pre-season than Mwepu, and also we've got a few youngsters as well who've been really interested in pre-season. So I think there's 1 or 2 positions, playing off Welbeck, which are up for grabs. Yeah.
7 returns in 1,000 minutes from Mwepu. It's not bad.
Pretty good.
I said this to you and on this pod last year about looking into him and a little bit of Yaya in him.
Yeah.
That big, powerful stride. Yeah. One to keep an eye on. I don't think you couldn't start with him, but someone normally we at game week 4 or 5 and it's like, oh, that 5.5 million midfielder I never considered. He might be one to keep an eye on early doors. Definitely not one to start with. Robert Sanchez is one that many will start with, Sam. I'm going to guess from what you said, maybe you're not one of them.
I don't have him. I don't think I have him in my draft at the minute. I've made so many, but I don't think he's in there. He's the reliable keeper, I think. You know what you're getting with him for 4.5. He's good value again. Been great for us. He had a few moments. He does have his moments where he's a bit too casual in goal, and it's quite scary to watch. And he's made 2 big mistakes in pre-season. Actually, just passed it straight to the opposition striker.
You're not going to make people think about Luke Steele again, are you?
He is. He's going to start. He'll be fine. I think he's the highest owned Brighton player in a minute, and probably the highest owned 4.5.
13.8%. And Cucurella's nearly at 10%, but I'm not sure how many people have left Cucurella there as a placeholder in case he moves or actually will start the season with him. But yeah, he's the most owned at that price.
Yeah, he'll tick over nicely over the season. And we only conceded 44 last season. I think that was the best defence outside of the top 4. 13 goals less than United, 12 less than Brentford. So
that means it can get worse.
Suppose. I think over the season he'll be right up there. I think he's great value. The way people are doing it this year, they're building towards the first 6 or 8. So I think goalkeeper's a position you can probably afford to take a bit more of a risk in, and you won't be punished too much. So I think out of the 4.5s, he would be my favourite one.
You
hear that, James? Because you've had goalkeeper troubles all week, James.
Yeah, Sanchez is he's not out of the running for me at all. One of the reasons I'm quite conscious that someone like Lewis Dunk could quite quickly become quite popular, or even obviously Sanchez himself. We haven't spoken about Tariq Lamptey, right? If he gets up to levels that we've seen pre-injuries and stuff, he's potentially quite exciting if he plays wing back at 4.5. So I'm conscious that the investment could come to Brighton. I think for me to start with Sanchez, I probably need to make the decision that I don't need to make it, but I'm possibly booking in my mind that I want to go longer without using the wild card so early on, because there are definitely other 4.5 million keepers who've got a better opening 3 than Manchester United, Newcastle and West Ham. I mean, conceivably, those 3 teams could all finish in the top 6 or 7 in theory, right? So from that aspect, if you're going early, I think you're looking at someone different. For me, it's Raya or Sanchez as the longer term picks. But if you're looking shorter term, then yeah, I think it opens up the idea of people like Meslier, where you can get on it and get off it and stuff.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I think there's a few at 4.5, and there might not be much between them, but yeah, I think the first 2 months of the season you're going to be targeting fixtures, and yeah, I don't mind any of them. I think as a Brighton fan, I don't think I want a Brighton goalkeeper in my team because it's too stressful. So I'll be looking somewhere else. But if I was going to go for a 4.5, I think it would be Sanchez.
Listen, we are pre-recording this on Thursday. Suj, if come this time next week, Leicester have sold Kasper Schmeichel and not bought a replacement, it's all redundant. Start with 2 4.0s, mate.
Danny Ward.
So I know, no, we don't think that will happen, by the way. Do we think Lamptey, Sam, wing back? Starter?
That's the issue. I think last season he was probably one of the more disappointing players, and it's because of his injury problems, and he doesn't have that doesn't really want to get past players like he used to. And also the positioning, he played right back, he's wasted. At right wing, it's not right for him, and a fullback just marks him out of the game. So at wing back, that's hopefully we can see the return of what we saw at the beginning with Lamptey. And if he does get starts, we know what he can do. He's exciting, but I think when you've got Dunk at the same price, he's going to start. You haven't got to be, you're not sweating looking at the lineups. I think Dunk, and it's possible Dunk ends the season with more attack and returns, to be honest. But Lamptey, yeah, if he becomes a regular, then you could look that way.
Has he had a pre-season with any issues?
I think he's been fine. He hasn't been in the starting. He didn't start against. Did he start against Reading? I can't remember. Maybe he did. Oh, he did start against Reading. He got an assist. I think at wing back as well, we've got a few players that can play in those positions. March, Trossard. We've had Mitoma. We've had Enciso as well at wing back in pre-season. So there's lots of options. And if there's any sort of worry with Lamptey, I think he's straight back onto the bench, and we'll protect him. So I wouldn't go that way. I would prefer Dunk, I think.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Just thinking about it out loud as well. I was thinking about Raya and Sanchez as those two kind of longer term 4.5 million options of interest. Both are decent choices. I was just thinking, what would have to happen in my mind for me to think that if I start with Raya, oh shit, I need to get Rico Henry. Like that doesn't feel like that's something that's particularly going to happen.
No.
Whereas I could start with Sanchez, and actually I might be in a position going, I really want Dunk or Lamptey. Does that make sense? I feel like it's more open with Brentford. And I mean, Tom Med said himself, it's basically just Henry if you're going one defenders or not bother at the moment. So I feel like I'd potentially have more interest in Brighton outfield defensive than Brentford. And I think that should possibly come into the consideration a little bit, that you may want Lamptey, and then are you comfortable? Where are you then? Are you comfortable having double Brighton defensive when there is a stage? You've actually got two little bits, Sam, where you've got Liverpool, Tottenham consecutively, and then Manchester City and Chelsea consecutively as well. And you don't really want them bits to come around with a 4.5 million goalkeeper and potentially be in a position where you might have to play the 4.5 million defender as well.
Yeah, I see what you mean. And there's not much between them really. In the goalkeepers at 4.5, I don't think. But yeah, you probably be leaning towards Brighton defenders over Brentford. So I see what you mean, yeah. It's
worth saying those two runs that I mentioned are both after the international breaks. So it's not coming around anytime soon. That's 9 and 10 and 13 and 14. But then overall, obviously, as a group of 6 fixtures, that's pretty tough. So you have to bear that into your thinking as well, which possibly means you might be the one team from the pretenders, if I can, Sam, that people might avoid if they're wild carding around that period, actually.
Yeah, wild carding. Is this the first wild card?
During the international break, if people wait to then, because then you've got sort of Liverpool, Tottenham, obviously straight afterwards.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, I mean there'll be times during the season where everyone Dunk and Sanchez will become really, really good options. But I think with the mid-table teams, it's all about fixtures really. They'll kind of all offer you the players offer you the same sort of thing. So yeah, first wild card, you probably won't be looking at many Brighton players. I don't know if I'm going to have a Brighton player for a while actually, if I don't start with one.
Interesting.
It's probably better for your sanity, to be honest with you, Sam. It's funny, all the Correspondent Week podcasts, when we talk about who are you having from your own team, and you can tell that there's a pull for certain players just because you feel like you want to have a player from your own team. Quite often, everybody's like, well, I should have one, right? I support this team. I've got to find one. And if you can block it out and just about sod them. I mean, James, your best.
Well, I was going to say,
FPL,
Sam's one of the best FPL managers, so
take it on that.
I mean,
your best season in FPL had no Spurs
mine.
players, right?
Mine was always an opinion originally that I didn't want to jinx the players, and then you realise that you get a bit wiser. You're like, I'm not. Me putting a player in the FPL team is actually not going to affect their returns at the weekend and stuff like that. So you get over it, I think, on that. Plus, we got into like season 2 of the pod, and I was like, I can't keep watching Sonny and Harry Kane blitz people and not have any of it. So, I think it's the cheap defensive Brighton guys that are most interested. I'd like to add, by the way, I think from game week 1, United versus Brighton is the must-watch fixture in terms of getting a little grasp of what Brighton might be this year. And obviously we're going to see something particularly different, I guess we assume, from Manchester United as well. Guess what the next podcast is, Suj?
Gary Robinson. Is my cat playing? We are heading up all the motorways, whichever they are, to Manchester, are we?
Manchester United are next.
I'm really excited about the Manchester United podcast just because I haven't really seen much of their pre-season, but all the names that I didn't think would be rearing their head, like Martials and Rashards of the world, actually are. Sam, do you want to tell the listeners where they can find you?
On Twitter, it's at FPL Seagull.
Fantastic.
Where are you going to finish, Sam?
11th.
I'm surprised that you said that, actually.
Yeah. Well, I think anywhere in that mid-table area, and I'm happy. I'm not sure if we'll be if we can top last season without Bissouma. I think that's the big question mark. But anywhere around there, I'll be happy. There'll be some good away days in there, and I'll have a good season.
Yeah, the majority of the correspondents think you'll finish sort of 10th to 12th.
Yeah.
So,
I'd say
you're in line. Always very honest and realistic, mate. I think you can do better. What I'd say is I absolutely see no danger of Brighton being in danger this year. Like if you did lose those first 3 games, I wouldn't worry for you. I think you'd be capable of winning the next 5, for example. So I think sort of 12th, 13th is probably minimum expectation now. I think you want a year where you never think about it and to be constantly looking at Europe. And the challenge next year is if you're getting yourself in a position like where the away end's singing at Vicarage Road, we're all going on a European tour, is then not to lose 6 games in a row afterwards. And shit the bed, basically. I don't know why it happens with your team, mate. If you can cut it out and have consistent, everyone's going to lose games. Did you even score in those 6 games? It's ridiculous.
We scored 1 goal. It was a header.
If you can cut that out, I genuinely think it is not beyond Brighton to challenge for Europe and possibly even squeeze in as the best of the rest.
Yeah, we've got the potential, definitely. We've got a young team that's going to be getting better. Just, 1 week we look like well beaters, the next you just know we're not going to score. So if we could fix that, that would be nice.
Where did you finish last year?
9th.
I think you'll finish 9th or 10th.
And I'm in agreement.
I will also say 2 years ago, I spoke massively about it became a bit of a thing. I got some stick for it about Brighton were going to finish top half and you were nowhere near it. And I made sure for you that I didn't say that last year. I think you'll be borderline this year. I'm not sure of it, but I think you'll be close.
Sam, thanks again for joining us. For the listeners that have been listening to all the Correspondent Week podcasts, thank you so much for all of your support. Make sure you are subscribed, hit the bell and all of that kind of stuff wherever you are listening, and you'll get notified as soon as the next Correspondent Week show goes out about Manchester United. Stay safe. Ciao for now.
Thanks, Sam. Good luck for the season, my friend. Cue music, please, man, child.